For this part of the tutorial, we are going to compose a Cubemap image by using our renders, add wall ornaments and background onto it. As you can see, I have put all of my resources into folders. I would also encourage you to find something specific to your home for your ornaments and background, meaning you can take a picture of an item on your wall and Photoshop the background, and also take a picture of a scenery that you can find in your location. If not, you can always use Google Images to find the ornaments and background. For the background, it is better to have it in portrait format. We also want the background to be somewhat abstract, like a picture of a sky or an open landscape. Get creative to find the backgrounds, as we are going to process them anyway. It is also good to mix and match between the sources. First, open up your Cubemap template on Photoshop by right-clicking it and go to Open with Photoshop. We want to change our image size into 12 by 9 inches. Make sure you have this icon on so you can actually keep the proportion. Resolution 300. Check this box and go to Bicubic Smoother Enlargement. Then hit OK. Then go to Image, Mode, change it to RGB color. A little tips for Photoshop: while you're holding Alt on your keyboard and you scroll in, you can actually zoom in or zoom out. And let's say you're in this extent, very zoomed in, and if you want to move your canvas, hold your space, and then it will turn into this hand icon and you can drag them. Now you want to turn on your rulers by simply hitting Ctrl R, or you can go to View, Rulers. After you have the rulers, you want to go to your Move tool, or V, and then drag this ruler all the way to the fold line of your cube. You might also want to hold Shift so it can snap onto the vector that's already there. You can zoom in and make sure it's actually hidden. Now, we want to refer to this image for the template. The long strip in the middle is the unfolded side of your cube, so you see the front, left, right, and back, and then you have the top and bottom on the other sides. Go ahead and import your render. I'm going to import my render front base and then size it into the scale that is easier to work with. Then hit enter. Right click on the layer and then go to rasterize layer. Now you want to create a layer and move it in between the renders and background. Then you want to color it black by choosing color black, or you can always switch it this way, or you can double click and then you can switch to color black. And go to Paint Bucket tool or G and then color that layer in. Now you want to lock that layer. We will be using this layer as guideline. Now go back to your render layer, use Rectangular Marquee tool, or you can just type M. Go and select to the extent of this guideline that we've already made from the render. After you select them, you want to delete it. Now hit Ctrl D to deselect. You want to remove all the white lines that we've already had before. Do these for all of the renders that we've had. Now after having everything in here, you would want to put them into the template. So turn off this black layer and we want to keep the template layer, and then feel free also to actually turn on and off the layers that you don't need and start moving them. Now you can do Ctrl T for free transform, or you can go to edit and hit this free transform. Then you can take this corner and you can scale them into the guidelines that we have. For the plan image, I would actually try to match the thickness of the poche onto one another. After you are able to match the size, you want to find parameters that you can snap the image to. For example, I know this side will be matching that side, so I want to rotate them 180 degree and hold shift and try to match this wall thickness with the pattern of the pillows. After it matches, hit enter, and you want to use your rectangular marquee tool and select everything onto the extent of that guideline, and make sure you're on the top base layer. Delete that. Do that for all the sides. After matching all of the sides, you want to put them over here and try to match this thickness. Now after you're done, do it also for the furnitures. You want to group all the base layer together by clicking on the top part of this layers and then hold shift to all the base layer and then click here icon, the icon of a folder, and that's grouping them. Also group the furnitures layer together, rename them, lock these layers, and then go import in your ornaments. After importing your wall ornaments, you want to rasterize the layer again, and then you want to delete the backgrounds that you have. The way to do it is either you want to use Magic Wand tool or W and select the background, then hit delete, or you can use Polygonal Lasso tool, and then you can go in and select the area. If you hold shift, you will add more selection, like so. Or you can hit alt and select. It will deselect the area that you just choose. There are two ways of putting your wall ornaments in, whether you want to follow this orthogonal grids or you can follow the perspectival grid. So if you want to follow the perspectival grid, go ahead and hit Ctrl T to free transform and scale them accordingly. And then to distort the proportion of this frame for this image, you can hold Ctrl and then see how the cursor turned into white. Click on the corner while still holding Ctrl and then try to follow the grid that you have. Now you can distort them perspectively. I would also go in and try to match the proportion from before. Just use the basic understanding of how perspective works. After you're done, hit enter. Do this for all of the ornaments that you have. After placing in all of your ornaments, you want to group them again the same way and then change the name into ornaments. And then you can lock the layer and we can do our backgrounds. Now go to your background, image, right click and open on Photoshop. For the background, we are going to make it seamless. I'm going to be selecting only the sky part, so go ahead and click crop. Now you want to unlock the layer and use your selection tool and select up to the half, roughly, of the size of the image. Then hit Ctrl J to duplicate that. Use your magic wand. While still on that new layer, select the other side. And then go down to the original layer and hit Ctrl J again. You can delete this original layer. Now what you have to do is to swap this around with your move tool, and what you will get is this middle seam. Now select both layer, right click, merge layers, and you can use stamp tool or S. You can change the size of your brush over here, the hardness of the brush also. Now you want to hit Alt to sample. Alt click to sample the image that you want. Then you can always increase your brush and try to blend this middle seam. You can also use spot healing brush tool or J to do the tricks as well. After you finish this, hit Ctrl A, Ctrl C to copy, and bring it back to your original template and paste it there by hitting Ctrl V. And you want to scale them, Ctrl T, to the full extent. Don't worry for it being pixelated, because we are going to process it by going to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and the radius will be 20, and hit OK. You want to cover all the way to the end. Now after you're done, go ahead and move this layer down and change the name to background layer, and you can hide that. Now using your rectangular marquee tool, select the excess space that you don't want and turn on your layer of the background and delete that. Now press Ctrl Shift I to invert the selection, and then you create a new layer, and you want to change this color palette into white by switching them, or you can go ahead and click and pick the white color and use your paint bucket tool and make sure you're on that new layer. Go and color that in, and then Ctrl D to deselect. Let's go ahead and unlock this layer and delete it. Now you want to turn off the template layer, leaving you with this checkerboard, meaning it's going to be transparent. Now we want to export each layer by its own. So before you export furniture, ornaments, and base layer, you want to keep this white background. And then when you export the background layer, which is this one, you want to export it as its own. Now go ahead and export background layer by doing File, Save As, and put it under the location that you want and name it Cubemap Background. And then you want the format to be PNG, and then hit Save. Then it will pop up this window and hit OK. You want to export the base layer. Turn on the white background layer and turn off the initial background layer, leaving it this unfolded cube with white background. Go ahead and do the same thing, save as. Do this for 2 other layers. Now after you have all of these files, you want to go to 360 Toolkit and go to this tab, Cubemap to Equirectangular, choose Files, locate your Cubemap image, and you want to convert all these into Equirectangular format. Go ahead and do that, click Open, and it will automatically download it for you. Open up your downloads and locate the 4 new images you just downloaded. Right click on it, cut, and you want to move it into a new folder called Equirectangular image and paste it there. Then you want to rename all these into Equirectangular _ the name of the layer.